Going to call to order the Finance Committee meeting for January 22nd, 2019. Our first item on the agenda, we have a special swearing-in service for Judge Smith. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. At this time, we have that. It's in the hands of the mayor.
It's our honor and privilege this evening to swear in our municipal judge, Tony Bradley Smith. And so if you would join us down here in the front, we'll start that process.
Do we all go? Thank you. Oh, I'd be happy to do that.
Busy with your hands and stuff.
Okay. If you will raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Tony Bradley Smith,
I, Tony Bradley Smith,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
all laws of the State of Oklahoma,
all laws of the State of Oklahoma,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Muscogee, Oklahoma.
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Muscogee, Oklahoma.
And I will not knowingly
And I will not knowingly
receive directly or indirectly
receive directly or indirectly
any money or other valuable thing
any money or other valuable thing
for the performance or non-performance
for the performance or non-performance
of any act or duty pertaining to my office
of any act or duty pertaining to my office
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than the compensation allowed by law.
I further swear
I further swear
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
of the office of the municipal judge
of the office of the municipal judge
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words?
I just want to thank the city so much for giving me this opportunity to continue as a judge for the city. It's definitely a dream come true for me, and I am so thankful that the city has its faith in me to continue and to allow me to continue as the juvenile judge, because I do love that very much. And thank you. Oh, my husband is here, Rusty Smith, and then my mom and dad are here, Peggy Bradley and Sam Bradley. And my friend Holly Miller.
We'll just shake your hand if you're coming in. Rusty, if you want to get ready for photos, we can do that. And then we'll quickly get out of the way.
Thank you.
And we do one of these all over the church, then kind of crowd in a little bit. Good? Now let us move out of the way and let you and your family, if you want to do it. Realize you're gonna have a professional photographer. Who, me? No, Holly. Oh.
Thank you for thinking I'm that good. I can point and shoot though.
Need to lift up on these steps. Yep. You have me there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, at this time, we have item number 1.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of January 7, 2019.
I'm sorry, let me back up. Do we have a recognition of retired?
No, that's
Okay.
going to happen later in the month.
All right. Item number 1, I'm sorry. We did read that.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of January 7, 2019.
Do you have any corrections or addition to the minutes?
I move for approval.
Second?
Have a motion and a second that we approve the minutes. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 1 passed. Item number 2.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments January 3rd, 2019 through January the 15th, 2019.
Do we have a report from the purchasing committee?
Yes, this afternoon, the purchasing committee did review the claims, and I would recommend approval of those claims.
Move the approval. Second.
Have a motion and a second that we approve the claims list. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2 passed. Item number 3.
Consider approval of resolution number 2742, amending the City of Muscogee, Oklahoma municipal budget for fiscal year 2018-2019, providing for additional revenues as well as creating a special project fund in which to pledge said revenues or take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. As you know, we had, through good planning and a good effort on our employees' part, a good fiscal year of 2018. As we've closed out the year, the council's adopted a new reserve policy, and part of that reserve policy allowed for us to do a budget amendment to appropriate 25% of that balance, the rest being put into the reserve fund. This budget amendment takes that reserve fund and creates the special project fund, I should say. It should be used only for one-time projects at the discretion of the City Council. At this time, the budget amendment has been brought forward to reflect the priorities the Council has put in place. Housing infrastructure, equipment for upgrading the streets, additional money for facilities, and a one-time employee stipend of $300 per employee for every employee who was here with us for that entire fiscal year and that is still with us today. That's a way for the council and the city to thank the employees for helping us have a good fiscal year and save money throughout that period of time. I'm excited about the opportunities that we've had with our good fiscal management over that fiscal year of 2018, and we would recommend approval and be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Miller?
Move the approval. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to extend my appreciation to the city manager for putting a great budget together, for the managers of each department for helping us be successful in this. And I love the way all of us work together at making sure and consolidating these projects where it moved our community forward, and then also putting rewards back for employees. So thank you very much.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 3 passed. Item number 4, please.
Consider approval of a professional services agreement with Michael S. Bates, Labor Relations Consulting Services of Tulsa, Oklahoma, to provide labor relations services to the City of Muscogee, covering the time frame of fiscal year 2019-2020, as well as related employee labor relations work as determined by the city, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement or take other necessary action.
Ms. Plunkett?
Mr. Chair, good to see you. Members of the committee, this is our annual labor relations professional services agreement with Michael Bates to provide union contracting negotiations with the FOP and IAFF as needed. It's the same contract as previous years, no fiscal changes, no other changes as we deem necessary for this year as well. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I recommend approval.
Questions? Discussion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this item. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Hale,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
No.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 4 pass. Item number 5, please.
Consider approval of City Council Policy 3-1-4, Muscogee Police Department recruiting and hiring incentives, or take other necessary action.
Chief Teehee.
This is a process that we've discussed with you guys. It's getting harder and harder to find police officer applicants, period, let alone those that get through our entire process. It's been something that's a national trend. We've done all the work and due diligence trying to find different angles of recruiting, and they're all over the board. One of the things that I found was one of the best ways to do that was to have an incentive for certified officers. When you do the calculations on that, it cost us, if we hire someone who's not CLEAT certified, it costs us about $24,000 to send them through the process to get them certified as an officer. This $10,000 bonus would save us money in that aspect. Then the $5,000 bonus we're looking at is trying to focus on those who had just recently got out of college and also military veterans getting out of the military. Just a different way of doing that. The third part of that is a kind of a bonus or a referral bonus to employees of the city. I sit on the committee that does the Dollars for Your Ideas, and when I was putting this stuff together, the first thing I thought was what better way of using our Dollars for Ideas than to have someone recommend a police officer that manages to stay with the department. This is something, again, that we put a lot of thought in. I've talked to the city manager about. There's only one other place in the city or in Oklahoma that does it, and that's the Village, which is in Oklahoma City metro area. We had never heard about it because they don't have any vacancies very often. So currently we're about 10% down on staff. Some of you all may be aware of that. Luckily, our citizens aren't aware of that because we have an exceptional group of officers that are doing their job on a daily basis, even though we're shorthanded as far as our workforce. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Chief, I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
In looking at this in the past, it appeared to me that the cost in order to get somebody new and to run them through, it's so much more than that schooling. We've got their year's worth of salary and this and that. I've heard numbers upward of $87,000 cost to get somebody here, get them through school, get them all trained and ready to go out into the field on their own. Am I off base, or?
It just depends on the circumstances, but yes, it's extremely expensive, which is why kind of the focus on the bigger number for trying to get certified officers. Just that little something, and pay-wise,
This is a great concept.
Right,
I'm
pay-wise, we're
suggesting
competitive. So.
Yeah, I'm suggesting that we're going to be saving a lot of money because for us to make the investment in a new officer and send them through school and all, and then for us to lose them to somebody with a program like you're suggesting is upwards of $100,000. So if we can recruit people that have had that big investment already behind them, whether it was a year or two away, and give them a modest increase or a nice increase, whatever, now we're playing the game on the right side of the board.
Right.
It's brilliant.
One of the other things that we look at too is that, a lot of times when you hire people who haven't been in law enforcement in the past, you end up losing those because it's not exactly what they're expecting once they get on the streets. The advantage to doing the bonus to a CLEAT certified officer is they've been through that, and chances are they're there and it's a career that they're planning on making of it. So you have that benefit as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the one thing I'd add, and I don't know if he touched on it, I don't believe that we did, but there's a 5-year commitment from the employee to us, so that they're committing to come to us when we're committing to give them that bonus. So that's a big part of the accountability as well.
Right, and my point with the city manager on that aspect is if we can get them in the front door and they'll give us 5 years, and if we don't have what it takes to keep them at our department, then we as staff need to figure out something different on what we're doing, because obviously there's something we're not doing to keep them. So that was the other aspect of it as well.
And Johnny, I know how hard it is to get quality guys in law enforcement. Y'all are doing a good job. I appreciate everything y'all are doing for us.
Thank
you. Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further questions for Chief Teehee? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kell,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 5
Thank you.
passed. Item number 6.
Consider approval to receive donated funds in the amount of $3,600 to be shared equally between the Parks Department for use at the Bark Park and by the city's animal shelter sponsorship program, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller? I'm sorry, Brooke.
We are excited about this event. We have a photo. Here are our dogs at the Bark Park. We are excited about this event and love partnering with community advocates for our parks and animals and our animal shelter. So Holly coordinated this. We appreciate everything that was done, and she can share the details of this event.
Now, Gretchen Wieners was sad she couldn't be here tonight, but it's raining and her legs are very short. So this year we had more dogs and more people. There were about at least 200 dogs that were there that I could account for, and lots of dogs were on the periphery, outside of the gate. But we had over 200 dogs. We had 21 sponsors this year. I think we had 7 the year before, and we raised 3 times the money. So I think it's growing. Many hot dogs were served, and people had a great time. If you didn't get to come out, you should come. I see many of our fine judges here, so thank you to the counselors, and I think, let's see, Roy judged and Bob, Janie judged this year, and Marlon judged. He wasn't here tonight, but it was great fun, and we're going to do it again next year because I guess I want to do it again. So October 27th is the date, which is the Sunday before Halloween, and that's going to be our date every year. So we've already got it planned. It'll be bigger and better. This year we added races. I don't know what we're going to add this year, but it'll be something ridiculous.
Where is your co-leader?
Vicky?
Vicky be here with you.
I didn't tell her about this because I didn't really know this was happening tonight till today. So, but yes, Vicky Greer Berner is my cohort, and this is what happens when 2 people are sitting in a meeting just yakking, like, what can we do? And this has grown out of that. So she's excellent. So, do you have any questions about this exciting event?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We just want to say thank you.
We have a motion to accept the donations.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kell,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 6 passed. Item number 7, please.
Consider approval of contract change order number 1 and final payment to Whitting Hill Disposal Services Incorporated for the demolition contract 17034 CDBG 17 bid group 39 in the amount of $9,281.25, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Callahan?
Mr. Chair, committee members, this is a request or approval for the change order and then also the final payment for this bid group 39. We had a total of 25 structures, and they had bid $2.75 square foot, and they did an excellent job. The change order for the added days really had nothing to do with any of their work. They had to coordinate with us on particular properties, and of course they have no control over the weather, so we give them the weather days and the soggy days after, trying to complete the final grade on the projects. So we've been really happy with the project, and it is recommended for approval from the purchasing committee. I'll answer any questions.
Just one quick question. Is the average per structure going up or down?
Going up quite a bit. And we went with the price per square foot because it's much easier to calculate, no matter what's on that property that has to come off, we do our aerial, and they will look at it that way. Dan will also go out, really appreciate Dan Hurd working with the contractors one-on-one more so than me, and goes out and really will walk the structure if there's any questions. We're now calculating the basement. If it's a two-story, if there's a basement, they get paid for that, as were before they pretty much had to just take what a bid amount was, and then they had to fill in a basement or haul off extra debris.
Are we about 2.5 times more per structure doing it this way?
I don't know that it's 2.5 times, but it might be, because we were, when it was lower bids, at like $3,000 and $4,000 a structure, and they've progressively started bidding higher, and that is a lot of the landfill charges and the fuel charges that have gone up on their side. So, but I could look and get that to you as to what we've had in the past.
I would like some additional information
yeah.
on that.
I think the
Sure
square
looks to
footage
me
on
like-
some of these structures was much
Yeah.
larger than what the average structure has been in the past. So I
It
think
may
that
not
had to
be,
do
may
with
not be to our advantage to do it by the square yard.
Well, I think we're still pretty close when it comes down to it by doing
Okay.
it by the square foot. But again, I think on these, I think it was due to some large structures. But we'll get that information verified
All right.
and
Thank
get you that answer.
Any
And we're just
additional
saying
questions?
A couple of them was commercial structures also.
Yeah,
which
I'm sure that would
make a
make a
big
big
difference.
difference.
And then by the time you average it, it's going to increase the average.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this item. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 7 passed, and with that, this brings the final item for the Finance Committee.
We'll now call to order the Public Works Committee for January the 22nd, 2019. Item number 1.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of January 7th, 2019.
We've all had time to review. Are there any questions?
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 1 passes. Item number 2.
Hold a public hearing and consider approval of Ordinance 4063A, amending Chapter 90, Zoning, Article 16, Signs, Section 90-16-07, Commercial and Industrial District Sign Regulations by amending Sections 90-16-07G, Digital Standards for Signs, providing for repealer, severability, and codification, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garvin.
Do we need to open a public hearing?
Yes, thank you very much. We will now open a public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, if you'll remember back in May 2016, we amended the sign regulations. We did that by adding a section titled Digital Standards for Signs. We started regulating the LED signs. Previously, we did not have any standards for LED signs. Now, when we prepared this first draft regulation of the signs, we tried to look at other cities. At that time, there was not a lot of cities that regulated LED signs, especially here in Oklahoma. With that being said, we went ahead and put together some regulations that we felt was appropriate. Council did approve it back in 2016. Well, it's been about 2.5 years ago. Since that time, really the only complaints that we've heard about the regulation has been the brightness of the LED signs at night between sunset and sunrise. So with the time frame being 2 years ago, we started now looking and see if other cities adopted ordinances, and there has been some since that time. Upon reviewing those regulations and reviewing our current regulations, we found 2 changes we're recommending. One is dealing with the brightness of the sign. The other is dealing with the measurement, how you measure that brightness. Previously, as far as the brightness, it was said, the ordinance said 5/10 candles or less over ambient light levels. We're wanting to get rid of that completely and change it to basically 40-foot candles. And that'll be measured at a distance 8 feet from the base of the sign. Previously, the way we would measure the difference between the ambient light and the light of the sign was you had to be perpendicular with the sign. Depending on the size of the sign will depend on how far back from the sign you had to be. And there was a formula you had to use to calculate that. So this is much easier first to measure, and then secondly, it's a little more stricter as far as the brightness at night than what we previously had. We have visited with all the local sign contractors. We even got with one sign contractor. Dan met with him, and they went inside the shop, turned all the lights off, started measuring, seeing for sure what measurement we wanted it. And we do feel that the 40-foot candles is an appropriate level for night. So we are recommending approval of the ordinance. Again, the two changes: brightness between sunset and sunrise, 40-foot candles or less, measured at a distance of 8 feet. Be glad to answer any questions. Yes.
I have a question. Two signs in particular, and I've called you guys about both of these signs in the past. One of the problems that it appears to me is if there's a blue screen or green screen or whatever, it doesn't jump out and just get you.
Yes.
But if it goes to a white background that's about 80 or 90% white, it's like it lights up the whole community around it.
Yes. Yes.
Is anybody addressing some way the amount of white background?
Well, and correct me
Because
if I'm wrong.
it's totally different
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
go to white.
Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but they looked at the white background when they did the measurement, because we knew that was the brightest one that,
Okay.
that was causing
All
the
right.
issues.
I got you.
So we're hoping that this will resolve that issue.
Cool.
We also, in the original ordinance we were talking about, there were some signs that wouldn't have the technology to go out. So if there were some of those out there, they would just turn them off after that time period. Is that correct?
The way the ordinance reads, and this is back to the original ordinance, and this is still in there, basically if it does not automatically do it, then they have to either hand do it, and if they're not changing it every night, then we can require them to put in a photo cell, a timer, or something to make that change. All new signs, though, have to have the technology to automatically
Technology
change.
to auto go on.
Yes, yes.
We will now go ahead and there's been nobody sign up to speak to this item, so we'll now go ahead and close the public hearing. Any questions from council for Mr. Garvin?
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Garvin, I do appreciate you and your staff's insight into this item, because I know it has been one since when we started it. You got the latest, greatest information for our community to try to address this issue. And I know you've done it again now, because it's been one that's kind of been plaguing us for quite some time. So I appreciate you going back and doing research to try to help our community through this. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2 passes. Item number 3.
Consider approval of ordinance number 4064A, amending the Muscogee Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 6, Boards and Commissions, Division 15, Muscogee Wellness Initiative, Sections 2-532, Appointment and Membership, and 2-536, Ex officio members, revising membership, providing for repealer, severability, and declaring an emergency, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this item comes before you from the unanimous recommendation of the Muscogee Wellness Initiative. Effectively, what this proposed ordinance would do would be to modify the membership to add the director of the Muscogee County Health Department or his or her designee from ex officio, where the person is now, to a full voting member. This result was made by recommendation of the committee because of some renewed interest from the regional health director, the regional director of the health department, and her promise to appear or through her designee to come to those meetings and be a part of it. The Muscogee Wellness Initiative meets at the health department, and the chairperson of the Muscogee County Turning Point is already also a voting member on there. So because this kind of works hand in hand with the health department, it made sense to the committee to change that position from ex officio to full voting. And so that is the recommendation that is brought before you for consideration tonight. I do want to point out that we do have our chairman of the Muscogee Wellness Initiative, Dr. James Baker, here with us, member Kevin Anthus, and member Julie Ledbetter, as well as staff liaison Brooke Hall. So they're here not only for this item, but more importantly, the item following. But I wanted to go ahead and make that introduction. Happy to answer any questions.
Sounds like a great change. Any questions from staff?
Move for
Mr. Tucker?
approval
Second.
if it's appropriate.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Jamie Stout?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Item number 3 passes.
Before we move on, Mr. Chairman, we do have the emergency,
Okay.
and I would remind the committee that historically this committee has had some significant challenges in gaining a quorum to conduct
Okay.
its meeting, and so that's why this item is being brought forth as an emergency, so that it'll be effective immediately and we can get that designated person on tap to vote.
Do we need a separate item to
That
declare
needs to be a
emergency?
separate motion.
I move for
Separate motion.
approval that we declare this emergency.
Thank you.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to declare it an emergency. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
Yes.
Derek Reed?
Yes.
Dan Hall?
Yes.
Jamie Stout? Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Thank you, Roy, for that clarification. Item number 3 passes along with declaring an emergency on item number 3. Item number 4.
Consider approval to authorize submission of a grant application to the Muscogee Medical Foundation in the amount of $53,582 for a bike share program as recommended by the Muscogee Wellness Initiative, or take other necessary action.
I think Brooke's going to help us
Good
out on
evening.
this one.
I am. Thank you all. We are here on behalf of the Wellness Initiative and also as the Parks and Rec Department. We are very interested in this program, the opportunity to have a bike share program alongside of our trails that we all work so hard on. And Anthus has done the research. He can answer questions. But as a department, we are interested in this. Would like to see how it can be successful in Muscogee and work through the any challenges that may arise to support this and sustain this program if we're able to have it in Muscogee.
Thank you. I hope you maybe had the chance to look over the short project description that was in the agenda and just kind of described what our plan is and what we think would be beneficial to the community to get this bike share started. It goes along with our mission statement for Muscogee Wellness Initiative of eating better, moving more, highlight there, and then being tobacco-free. So we really think that getting a project like this started, you might see similar things in bigger cities, but this could kind of focus for us on our trails and our downtown areas. Our roads are being redone and added bike lanes and could really benefit the community, and I think could not only give a physical benefit, but maybe a mental benefit, or at least an image boost to the city as well, that people would see these things going on and would really be excited about getting out and moving and using our trails that we have available for them. So don't want to talk too long, but if you have any questions about the project as it's proposed, or any details about anything that you see on the grant application as it's presented, I'll be happy to try to answer those questions for you.
It was really exciting information to me when I was looking at it is the share. Where were you looking at placing the stations at?
So in initial thoughts were there was a couple places we were looking at the trailhead, which is located close to the Hall of Fame presently. There is a project going on, I'm sure you're aware, with the Parks and Rec Department. Depot Green is getting potentially implemented in the latter part of 2019, and we're looking at that as a good location. Another spot we were thinking was the Hatbox trails out there, kind of bike trail that way, but they do connect, and so with just looking at one location, we were thinking that since Parks and Rec was already kind of doing some new construction, we could kind of tag on to that and work together on that and correlate.
Outstanding. When I saw the attached information, went through it, I mean, it's amazing how much our cycling program has expanded in Muskogee, but there's so many that that can't do that or just won't have the bike with them. And man, that's just a wonderful opportunity to do that.
So we're looking at one station for right now?
We're looking at one station, 8 bikes. He's got a kiosk on it. The B-Cycle is the company that we've been most recommended out of all the places that we've looked at. You know, they have an app that goes on your phone, so you can check things out that way. You're just entering in your information. We're not really trying to turn a real profit on this kind of setup, just hopefully present it with some sustainability by charging a low nominal fee.
Well, I was thinking about more like me. If I went out there and got one of the bikes and I started riding it and go, oh, I do not want to go back there. I just need to park this thing somewhere. Sure. That's what I was looking at. If you had more than one place to park that thing. Don't want to ride over
potentially, you know, we can look at other sites. Would this program be successful? It might be beneficial to add other locations to where it could be a connecting system. But for starting out, we're looking at one location.
Well, I find that very exciting about having this. I've been to a couple places on vacation that had these setups, and it was really nice because, like, again, I'm a big guy. I'd rather ride a bicycle than walk, so I'm good. I like this idea.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Go ahead. Oh, Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
Yes, sir.
Do y'all have a program like for scooters?
We do not. We were not looking at scooters, kind of highlighting again back on the Move More. Scooters, as I understand, most of the programs now are electric and would not maybe, you know, encourage as much physical movement as what a bike program would. And you know, that's kind of what we've been looking at. Scooters was not even in our purview really when looking at this project.
I like that
I mean,
question.
we're aware
I
of
the
them.
same question I asked. And I got the same answer.
We need to get a kiosk for tennis shoes for people like you and Dan.
You're right. I know one person up here can really ride a
bicycles or scooters.
I'll second your motion, Mayor.
Any other questions?
I turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion and a second? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 4 passes. Item number 5.
Consider approval of resolution number 2746, directing the filing and notification of the publication of supplement number 19 to the Muscogee City Code of Ordinances, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Tracy.
Chairman and committee, this codification incorporates ordinances and resolutions that have been passed by council through September 2018. This resolution will approve the adoption of this supplement, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. I recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 5 passes. Item number 6.
Consider approval of a memorandum of agreement between Muscogee Creek Nation and the City of Muscogee for the Hilldale High School Smith Ferry Road project, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and committee, we're very excited to bring this item before you. We've been working for the last year with the Muscogee Creek Nation. Mr. Miller's been in contact with them constantly, working on getting this worked out, and we've been working with their engineering. Basically, we worked out this agreement where the city's paying for the engineering, and then once it's engineered and designed, it'll be turned over to the Muscogee Creek Nation, who will handle and pay for the construction and inspection of that. So it amounts to $4.5 million project that the Muscogee Creek Nation is funding, and we're very appreciative of them putting that type of investment in the city and our much-needed streets. This is in front of Hilldale on Smith Ferry from the highway to Gulick. It's a 1-mile stretch of road, and it'll be adding sidewalks, a 3-lane road, and it's a much-needed project. We've worked with the Muscogee Creek Nation. Eric Puckett is here, who was very instrumental in getting this approved. It's already been approved by the Muscogee Creek Nation Council, and once it's approved here, we'll be able to have signatures on both lines, and it'll be official memorandum of agreement. And we recommend approval and happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Puckett, be interested in making a comment?
On your way up, Eric, we appreciate you getting this done for us. It's been needed for a long time.
Yes, most definitely.
I wouldn't tell you I did. First, let me tell you this has been in works for several years. Two people that probably really deserve it, not me, and that's Mike Stewart. Mike's been on this for a while, and we've been on this for a while. And then Dr. Cootie, who's my predecessor, we've all been working this for a while. But I got to go meet with the Creek Nation Council as a subcommittee on this, and they were very receptive to it. Our local Creek council members of our area here, Pete Beaver and Mrs. Deere, very supportive of it. They have family that have went through Hilldale schools, which those things always help when they go through our local school systems when you're asking for money. But I just want to say thank you. It will transform the whole landscape of that area. It's desperately needed if you drive it, especially on a rainy day with the drainage and the things that go on. So I just here representing Hilldale to say thank you. And thank you for you guys. Thank you for your departments and what you do, and look forward to working with you guys in the next several years and improving our city. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions from council? Appreciate the team effort of Hilldale Schools, and, you know, Mike Stewart still leaving a legacy after he's already left, and all the work that's went into this. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Hale,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 6 passes. Item number 7.
Consider approval to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement between the City of Muscogee and Olson and Associates Incorporated for engineering design services for the Muscogee Industrial Area Infrastructure Improvements Phase 2 EDA grant, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and committee, this is another project where we've worked on funding. If you recall, we completed the 43rd and 45th Street project with the EDA funds. Well, that didn't use all that was apportioned, and EDA kind of just said they don't want to give money back. We should continue and spend what's left. So we're putting together this project. It amounts to $800,000 worth of work with the foundation match. Once that's requested, and we'll move forward with that. The project includes 43rd Street from Chandler Road up to Gibson, as you see on the map there, and then a little piece of 45th from Chandler to Callery. Adding left turn lanes and signal work at Chandler and 41st and 43rd so that we can get some turn lanes in there. It's been a pretty high accident area because of it's a blind spot for turning left. And then also on Hancock from 41st over to the drive entrance into the pollution plant, do improvements to that piece of road. We feel we can fit within that budget. This item is approving the manager to negotiate an agreement and execute an agreement with Olson and Associates, and they're here today if you have any questions. And we recommend approval, and happy to answer any questions.
Outstanding.
Wonderful.
Yep. Great progress. Do I have a motion?
Move the approval. A second.
Got a motion? Yes.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I appreciate the kind words you guys have said, but I think we need to point out that between these last two projects, we're going to be doing an additional $5.3 million worth of street work in the city because of partnerships that we've developed and that we're working through. Keep in mind that our annual street budget is about $2 million. So these partnerships that staff is pursuing and that we're pursuing with our neighbors and our tribal nations are a big deal, and I'm really excited about it. And I want to thank our staff and just take it. Thank you for letting me interrupt, but it's $5.3 million on these two projects is a really big deal for Muscogee.
We need to get out and take pictures of them, put them on our Facebook pages, and show the people in Muscogee that there are streets being worked on. Mm-hmm. I don't think they believe us when we tell them all the streets that's been covered and paved and micro-surfaced, and they just go, where? It's easy to say where when you don't get out and look at all the district wards in our city and as a whole. They're just worried about their personal streets in the front sometimes, and I think that makes it look bad when they say our streets aren't being worked on. And it's frustrating.
Mike is being kind when he said that our staff, because you need to include yourself in that, in the staff. You've been diligent for the last couple of years in partnering those relationships, and thank you for that.
Well, and it definitely was not an interruption. It brings back, you know, if you look when we first brought in, the point was, how are we going to stretch? I remember when we were talking about how are we going to stretch our dollars, and I remember Mike saying it's going to be through partnerships. And if we're talking about, you know, our streets, as we've identified, you know, what is our priorities as far as council, and we're talking about all the ways that we're going to be able to address streets. And, you know, one of the ways is we're addressing it through partnerships. And definitely it is being addressed through partnerships, and we're still looking at other ways of addressing it. So thank you very much for bringing that further to our attention tonight, because it is a great night. And Hilldale is going to be, you know, right in front of their school. They're going to be seeing and driving on it every day. They're going to be seeing a lot of work being done. So, you know, with every improvement becomes a little disruption, but we're going to see a lot of deals. And I really like that they're not going to take the money back, and we're going to see design work coming out of that. So thank you, Mr. Riley and staff. So I had a motion and a second. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 7 passes. We have recognition of citizens wishing to speak. We had one signed up to speak, Thomas Dobbs. They had signed up earlier to speak on this agenda item, Mr. Thomas Dobbs. I don't believe he's here this evening, so that will conclude our Public Works agenda this evening. Thank you very much for joining us.